Namaste and welcome to Live, Love, Engage. I am Gloria Grace Rand and delighted as always to have a guest on the program today, and we are going to have a lot of fun. I can just tell you that that's going to be my sneak preview, is that we're going to be having a lot of fun talking about meditation, believe it or not. So my guest today is Pragito Dove, who is the global authority, or maybe not the global authority, I may be putting words in her mouth, but or at least a global authority on expressive meditation. And she's also founder of the #1 Expressive Meditation Training School in North America. She's an internationally recognized author, hypnotherapist, coach, and speaker with over 20 years experience. And she helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and CEOs align their mindset to allow more peace, time, and financial freedom. She shows you how to change your money blueprint, recondition your mind for automatic abundance, and use spiritual laws to create real-world success. And she's been on the stage with luminaries like John Gray, who wrote the Mars, when it was Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus books, I believe it is. And she also just recently, we're recording this in August, she just actually released her newest book called Lunchtime Enlightenment, Expressive Meditations for Manifesting Peace, Prosperity, and Passion. So with that, welcome, Pragito.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, Gloria. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I am thrilled to have you because when someone recommended me or recommended you to me on the show, I thought, ooh, this sounds like a really good person to have on. So I'm excited to talk about it. So I thought where we would start is to tell me a little bit about expressive meditation, because I've done Vipassana meditation, I've done just guided meditations, but I've never heard of expressive meditation. So can you explain what that is?
Yes, absolutely. So it's about expression. So the expressive meditations, and I'll take the laughter meditation as an example, then, because I know you want to talk about the laughter as well. The idea of the expressive meditations is to express out of our body-mind any repressed sadness, grief, joy, laughter, anger, frustration, fear. Because what happens is we repress all these emotions. Many of us do. I did. This is how I got into these meditations, because I had a very difficult childhood, and I repressed my anger, my fear, and my sadness, and decided to live in my head because it was, I just didn't want to get hurt anymore. But of course, I built up a lot of repressed emotion in my body, because the body acts like a shock absorber and will absorb all this for us. But if we're not careful, the body reaches a point, just like a car with the shock absorbers, where it can't absorb anymore for us. And that's when the body then goes into dis-ease and illness. So what happened to me was, because I was also smoking about 30 cigarettes a day, that was another way I was repressing everything, is I just kept having this terrible recurring back pain. And it was tension, because with tension we clench up like this and the body's all tense, so it creates all this pain. So when I found these expressive meditations, I was absolutely thrilled, because, for example, with the laughter, the first stage is we laugh. We just laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Just start laughing like that. And what happens is, like, energetically, that opens us up, and it starts to release all these tensions. Laughter is incredibly good for the physical body in terms of releasing tensions. And you can all try this at home. I'm sure you all know how to laugh, so we don't have to go into that. But the more you laugh, the more tensions you release from the body. And also, the more you laugh, the more tensions you release from the mind.
Mm.
You can't be worried and laughing at the same time.
That's true.
So laughter erases worry, anxiety, and fear. In those moments when you are totally laughing, you become free of the mind.
Mm.
And that is a very exciting idea, because, you know, most people with their difficulty with meditation and just with their lives is the mind is just constantly sending these judgments and comparisons, and oh, that's never going to work, and kind of negative thoughts like that.
Yes.
And so when you make laughter a practice every day, just, it's pretty easy. You know, you can go on YouTube and find things to laugh about, your favorite comedian or whatever, and laugh. What it helps to do is break up the dominance of the mind, because the mind cannot be putting you in this fearful grip when you're laughing. It breaks it open, because laughter is a very powerful energy. So the first stage of the laughter meditation is just laughing, like, yeah, just start laughing for no reason. And it's easier maybe if you get yourself started with a YouTube video or some friends. And then the second stage is sitting in silence. So it's a very simple technique. And what people find is how easy it is to drop down to your center, down here 2 inches below the navel, to drop down to your center of silence and peace very quickly after doing a bunch of laughter. It just makes it easier. So that's an example of an expressive technique where you express out your energy. And then in the second stage, it's much easier and quicker to drop down to your inner silence.
That makes so much sense. Because I know when I've, let's say, been challenged by something's happening in your life, and you get all worked up to try to be able to then, you know, they say, okay, just sit quietly and not, you know, and make your mind go blank. It's like, that's not going to happen very well.
That's practically impossible to do. Yes.
Yeah. But
you know, so, you know, let's say you're all worked up and you get really angry and frustrated. So there's two techniques, and I'll tell you the easiest one to do first is the gibberish technique. And these are all in my book, by the way, for everybody listening. What you do is you close your eyes, and put on a blindfold is better so the eyes don't fly open. And then speaking in gibberish, any kind of nonsense sounds, but not words that you understand.
Right.
You just get totally angry. You just get into the energy of it, because what you're doing is you're dumping it out, you're releasing it in a meditation context. Because as I know you know, if you don't express your anger, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to go and dump it on somebody else, who happens just to be passing by down the street, or you're going to repress it. And neither of those is good.
Right.
So what the gibberish technique offers, and this is an ancient technique from the Sufi tradition, actually, again in my book, is you can dump out your anger. And then in the second stage, when you sit in silence, you've taken the lid off the pressure cooker, and you vented it all out. And then it's very easy to drop down to your inner silence. And then what happens is you get to that calm, clear place where solutions arise, and creative ideas arise to whatever the situation was that was making you so pissed off, you know. So again, expressive. expressing out first,
Right.
and then dropping down to your inner silence. So it's express, don't repress your emotions.
Very good. Oh, and that just reminded me of, I did take like a laughter yoga class one time, and it was very good, very good. I can't remember now. Have you ever heard of that one? It was something they would go very good, yeah, or something like that. Oh, but it was a way to be able to, kind of get you into doing that. It just popped
Yes,
in my head.
joyful,
Yeah,
joyful, positive energy, because it's really, yes, the words are important, but it's releasing the energy from the body mind.
yeah,
That's what needs to happen, so you
absolutely.
don't get sick, and you quickly find you're in the silence.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, what Tell me about the title of that, because I like how you said it's Lunchtime and Enlightenment. So where did that idea come from?
Oh, that's a great story. This was quite a few years ago, because this is the second edition of this book.
Oh, okay.
Along maybe 10, 15 years ago, I was invited to give a presentation at a bookstore in the financial district of San Francisco. And I almost didn't go, because I thought, well, who in the financial district is going to be interested in meditation at lunchtime, But I got there, and there was about 30 people there. It was like, oh, okay. So I gave this presentation, and the bookstore owner was so impressed with my presentation that she asked me if I'd do a monthly series. And we called the monthly series Lunchtime Enlightenment.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Yes, and then she had to go to New York, and she was telling all the big publishing houses about this. And I got a call from Ballantine Books in New York asking me, "Are you going to write a book?" So I said, "Yeah, yes."
Sure.
And so I wrote the book, and there was a bidding war over the book, actually.
Wow.
And I got a very, very big advance.
Well,
Yes.
good for you. Nice.
Yes. Thank you. So it's just a great story of say yes to opportunities. Because I almost thought, well, this is not going to happen. Why bother to go?
Right.
Say yes to opportunities, because you never know where it can lead.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
That's tremendous. I'm writing a book myself right now, but I don't know that I'll have Ballantine Books calling me, but that would be awesome. So maybe I'll just set that intention.
Yeah, why not? Why
Absolutely.
not? You
never know, right?
just never know.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about why you believe it's important for an entrepreneur in particular to invest in themselves, and especially perhaps in investing in taking the time to learn, like meditation techniques.
Oh, well, I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. Yes, I think it's extremely important to invest in yourself, in your own growth and expansion, because, I mean, you are the business. Mm-hmm. And it's actually amazing how much conditioning we have in the mind, which is not supportive of us being successful entrepreneurs, particularly as women, because we inherit all kinds of conditioning and judgments from our lineage, from our ancestors. And this is an easy way to self-sabotage and stop ourselves. So, and I'm speaking from my experience and from all the women that I work with, because I actually only work with women entrepreneurs in my private practice with the hypnotherapy, and then in the trainings with the meditations, is that first of all, we have to become aware of all these conditionings and heal them, change them, transform them, because we can change the blueprints in the subconscious that were put in us. So, for example, I had a really bad conditioning around money when I was growing up. We actually had money. I guess my family was just sort of in the middle class. But my mother somehow believed we didn't have any money. And she lived in this incredible fear, lack, and scarcity about everything, which, of course, I absorbed.
Yep.
And it was only when I started doing the meditations, which bring insight and understanding, and when I started doing the hypnotherapy work, that I realized, oh, wait a second, we did have money. So that was an illusion that I had inherited. So I had to clear all that out of my subconscious so that I was able to take my business to six figures, because I cleared all that stuff out of the way. Now, you got to have good content for your business if you want to get to six figures. But that I have found with entrepreneurs is the main thing that is in the way. These old wounds that need to be healed, and these old patterns of, I don't deserve it, I'm not good enough, which is very common. And especially in women, as I say, because women, we have been put down for centuries as second-class citizens.
Yeah.
And we have to really claim our power back, and our creativity, and our sense of self-worth and self-deserving, so we can step out and offer what we have, the wisdom, because women have incredible wisdom to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, I can so relate. I think our mothers were cut from the same cloth, because and I know one part of it I understand. She grew up during the Depression, but again, we had a middle class life. She worked as well as my father did, but she was always crying poor to her mother. And yet I had dance lessons, I had music lessons, I went to Girl Scout camp in the summertime. So, we, for all intents and purposes, and it's interesting, I was actually just writing about this in my book lately, and just realizing that, yeah, no wonder my sister thought I was spoiled. I was, in a way, because I did have a lot of advantages. And yet at the same time, I took on those same types of beliefs that were not mine to hold on to. And you mentioned one thing about that, we do, it is important for us, especially as women, I think, to be able to start tapping into that inner wisdom and intuition. So what do you find is the best way that we can do that?
Well, certainly these expressive techniques. For example, the laughter meditation is the best meditation I recommend for unleashing your creativity. So because it releases your joy and high vibrations that helps creative ideas come through. So that's something that I highly recommend for people. I can't remember. Sorry, could you just say the question again?
Well, I just wondering, how do we tap into our inner wisdom? And what's a good way to cultivate it?
Yes. So definitely I recommend laughing every day and really cultivating that, because it will help you. And the other thing it helps with, as I mentioned, I think, is it raises your vibration for the law of attraction. And so you want to be in a high vibe energy. So with law of attraction, I say, like, on the scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a very low negative vibe, 10 being the highest vibe, you want to try and keep yourself up at an 8, 9, 10, Yeah. And laughter, look, it's free. Yeah. It's a great way to do that when you incorporate it into your day. And the other thing is to become a witness to the mind. This is a very powerful technique, which you probably know if you've been doing Vipassana, created by the Buddha 25 centuries ago, to learn to disidentify from the mind, to sit back and simply watch the thoughts go by. Just let them go by, because thoughts are shadows. They are not real. They are figments of the imagination. Right. And the other thing is that they are all from the conditioned mind, which is very limited, because our ego mind only has information in it from the past.
Yeah.
And so it will not be supportive of anything that is new or outlandish,
Right.
or because it goes into fear. Because like, what are you doing? Oh, that's not going to work, you know? And so to learn to become a witness to the mind, and I have a whole chapter on this in my book, is a very powerful thing. And you've probably already experienced that, so that you're not at the effect of what the mind is saying. And so what I say is, learn that your heart and your soul are the master, and the mind is the servant of the heart.
Ooh, I like that. Sorry, I just want to stop there for a minute. Say that again.
The heart and the soul are the master, and the mind is the servant of the heart and the soul.
Yeah, that's so important to remember. Yeah, because our mind definitely can lead us astray into just places that don't serve us, I think is the best way to say it. They really don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, even though it's of the best intentions, it thinks it's trying to protect us, but often, especially with women in particular, and people I've talked to, and myself, and case in point, it just serves to keep us small, and not shining our light, which I believe we're all designed to do.
Oh, I mean, we totally are.
Yeah.
And I see we have fear and greed and comparison and judgment live in the mind. And those are the four, I call them our false friends, the four false friends that do not serve us.
Yeah.
And one thing I always like to mention to people is to watch the judgments of the mind, because I think the number one cause of suffering in the world is judgment. And the person we pick on first is ourselves.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So then we're so busy judging ourselves, and then that lowers our self-worth and our self-deserving to help us step out as entrepreneurs. So acceptance is the key.
Yeah.
And I have a chapter on that in my book.
Oh, good.
Yeah, everything I'm talking about, there's a chapter on it in the book. Yes, because I think that the more we can accept ourselves for who we are and just let the judgments go by, then the more we can accept others. But the more we judge ourselves, the more we judge others.
Right. Absolutely.
And the more, and also it's important to have compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we have more compassion for others. And that's what the world needs: more compassion, more acceptance, more kindness, more love. But we have to start with ourselves with all those.
Yeah, definitely.
All those things, you know?
Absolutely.
Then it ripples out.
For sure. If someone hasn't been meditating before, and now they're hearing this, and hopefully they're inspired to start, what's the best way for someone to get started? And because some people think, well, does this mean I have to sit for half an hour? Not necessarily, I think, anyway. But what is your advice to someone who wants to get started?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you. The thing is to understand what meditation is and what it is not. Meditation is not a technique, like sitting in silence for an hour or 3 hours or something. That is a technique. But what is meditation? Meditation is awareness. Meditation is being in the present moment.
Okay.
Either you are in the present moment or you are not. So the mind will take you to the future or the past.
Right.
And with awareness, you keep bringing yourself back to the present. Always with compassion, because the mind is, it's in the habit of dragging us off track. But it's a very simple thing. It's free. And I suggest people start there, because then you don't have to do any sitting or anything if you don't want to. Of course, you can if you want to.
Right.
But just understand that meditation is awareness, self-awareness. And are you present with yourself and the person you're talking to or the situation you're in, or not? And it's pretty simple to know, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
And then just come back to the present. Because what happens, and I'm sure you know this, then over time, bring that quality of presence into your life, into every relationship, into every conversation, into every action you take. There's always with this quality of presence. And that transforms everything. Because presence contains love, it contains joy, it contains peace, creativity, wisdom. Everything is contained in that present moment. And that is the gift we all have.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's something that is so, like you said, it doesn't cost anything. It's just costs time, I suppose, of just taking the time and being intentional and just saying, okay, let me be present with you, like right now,
Right.
as opposed to thinking about, 12 other things. And that's one thing I've learned in doing this podcast, is probably from where I started at the beginning, where sometimes I'd be thinking about, oh, what's the next question I want to ask? But I really have been, I made myself learn to be more intentional about really listening to the guests, so I can just be present with you and then trust that something you say will trigger and then I'll be able to come up with another question.
And that's a fantastic example, because then the conversation flows from that quality of presence spontaneously, and then the wisdom flows from each of us. And so then it's just perfect, and everything is said that is meant to be said in that particular interview.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the interviews. I just trust that I'll say whatever is the right thing to say for this particular day with you and your listeners, and everybody will benefit.
Absolutely. I'm definitely trusting that for sure. Because I know that you've, in just a short amount of time, have dispensed a lot of wisdom, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If someone, well, actually, let me just mention, or actually not mention, but let me ask you briefly, because you did mention that you do work with women entrepreneurs. So how do you work with people? Do you work one-on-one? Do you do group programs? What do you do?
I work one-on-one with the hypnotherapy work. So I'm a licensed hypnotherapist, and coaching. So I have programs for that, and that's on the phone, so it doesn't matter where people live. And then I also have group programs, small groups and they're usually also my one-on-one clients, because women like the groups, and it's amazing how they can help each other. By one has a problem here, and then the other one says, oh yeah, I have that too. So I do that. And then I have the meditation trainings. So all these meditations, which are in the book, I do trainings. So I have a laughter meditation that has its own, because it's so incredibly important, I think, and it's such an easy thing. But there's a lot to learn about it, actually. And then I'm going to be doing in the beginning of next year, I will start a level 2 of the training, which is the 9 main chapters of the book, to go through those, like it's a 9-week online class with me. And then in October of 2021 is the 6-day in-person practitioner certification training, where we do the expressive, because we can't do all these expressive techniques on Zoom. We can do the laughter on Zoom, but the rest of them, so that's in person in Tucson, Arizona, where I live. So people can get a certification from my company, Discover Meditation Training, in meditation, and can go out, either add it to the practice, to the business they already have, or start a new business, whatever they want to do. But I am very keen to train people, because I think we need a lot more meditation teachers out there, and the whole planet needs meditation. So
That's for sure.
There's no shortage of clients out there for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love Tucson. I've been out there many times because that's where my sister used to live. So who knows? Maybe I'll even check this out next year. And it would be wonderful to not have to worry, but to be able to travel next year again would be wonderful. So
yes, I think by October of 2021, I think we will. That's why I didn't do it this year. I just moved it to, I'm sure we will, by then.
Absolutely. Well, one last thing before I let you go is I wanted to ask for our listeners, if they want to be able to find out more information about meditation trainings or working with you one-on-one, where is the best place for them to find you?
Well, my website, discovermeditation.com. Awesome. And I do have a free gift for everyone when they go there. There's a free gift, and when you can sign up for my newsletter, the Laughing Buddhas Network newsletter.
I like that.
Thank you. And so you can then you can stay up to date on everything I'm doing. I also have a Laughing Buddhas Network Facebook group as well, if anybody prefers to find me on Facebook.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I have all that information in the show notes. And I just want to thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed our discussion, and I look forward to, I might have to pick up a copy of your book so I can take a look at it and learn some more about the expressive meditations. But I love the idea of laughter. And I know that there have been studies about how good laughter is for you.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to make it a point to start making sure that I am laughing every day, especially
because
I want to be more creative. I've already been getting into doing more of that anyway, but you can never be creative enough, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It's creativity. It's like endless, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again for being here, and thank you, all of my awesome listeners out there, and who's ever watching on YouTube as well. I appreciate you. And until next time, I encourage you, as always, to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.